So let me let you in on a little bit of a secret when it comes to making YouTube videos as a career. Sometimes you have days like today, where there aren't really too many big news stories coming up. Everybody's talking about, oh yeah, rumors from yesterday, and Nikita Kucherov at 100 points, but can we really make a video about that? I don't really know. Not too many things going on in the world of hockey, so what I wanted to do was go over a list that I had seen 3 days ago that I wanted to review here on the channel. Today we're heading over to TSN and Craig Button. Because what Button did on February 22nd was gave out the new, updated top 50 list of NHL-affiliated prospects. Now, this is a top 50 list, so the article will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and see names 1 to 50, but in this video what I'm going to do is talk about the top 10. The other 40 guys, hey, you're going to have to head over to TSN if you want to see that yourself, but we've got 10 names, about 10 minutes of footage. Let's go out there and talk about at least a minute per each of these guys. This is Button's list of the top 10 prospects in the NHL. Starting out with number 10, you've got Jonathan Lekkerimaki of the Vancouver Canucks. Playing for Örebro in the SHL, Lekkerimaki this season has himself 26 points in 39 games played. He has been so good. Even within the past week, the guy has been scoring goals like crazy. Overtime winners, multi-goal games. Lekkerimaki in his last 5 games played has 5 goals. He has been that guy. And for a player who is ranked as an A-tier prospect by Craig Button, this certainly is one of the guys where if he pans out to his potential, we could be looking at a consistent 25-30 goal scorer every single year for the Vancouver Canucks, if everything works out, of course. I mean, he's 19 years old right now, so he's doing some pretty good things in Sweden. But he is ranked here as the 10th best prospect in the National Hockey League. Jumping up one spot to the 9th best prospect in the NHL, you have yet another Vancouver Canucks guy. It is Tom Willander from BU in the NCAA. Taken by the Vancouver Canucks in the 11th overall spot in the most recent draft, Willander, as a right-handed defenseman, has been doing some pretty good things. He's got 18 points in 30 games played with BU University's team, and he has been pretty good. He had some minutes playing for the first pairing alongside of Lane Hudson sprinkled in throughout the season. He hasn't been consistently one of the best guys on the blue line, nor one of the most deployed, but as he continues playing in the NCAA, especially next year, I think the expectation for the Canucks management and Canucks fans is that Willander will sort of adapt to more of a top-tier role on this team. But for now, just getting used to North American rinks, getting used to North American ice, Willander has been doing a really good job at making that transition from Sweden to North America, that if you're talking about projection, I mean, there really does seem to be a solid top 4 defender in this player. We just have to wait and see. I mean, he's also ranked as an A-tier prospect by Button, so that in itself is very, very good. So for Canucks fans, having the 10th and 9th best prospects in the NHL is great, especially when you consider that they didn't trade any of these guys away for Elias Lindholm or Nikita Zadorov. Maybe one of them gets traded soon, who really knows, but moving on to the 8th best prospect in the NHL, according to Craig Button, it is the final A-ranked prospect on this list, Axel Sandin-Pellikka from Skellefteå AIK in the Swedish League. AIK has been doing some pretty alright things with ASP. He's a smaller guy than Willander, but his offensive profile is much different. Axel Sandin-Pellikka this year has 16 points in 32 games played, on pace for about 19 in 39 games, which is good. I mean, it's pretty similar to what Willander's getting in the NCAA, but with ASP, there's a lot more of an offensive dynamism to the way he runs the power play. He is primarily an offensive guy, so him doing what he's doing in Sweden has been noteworthy to see. He was also one of the top defensemen for Team Sweden at the World Juniors this recent season. So for Axel Sandin-Pellikka, I mean, if this guy could become a power play quarterback for the Wings in a few years, I don't think anybody would be surprised. He's super young, and he's doing really good things. Now, moving over to the 7th best prospect in the NHL, this is where we start to go into the AA categories. All these guys are ranked AA. The previous 3 we talked about were all just ranked A, and with the 7th overall name, you have yourselves out of the Boston College system, Gabe Perreault of the New York Rangers. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit for this one, because Gabe Perreault actually was a player that I dubbed a steal for the New York Rangers back when they drafted him in the 23rd overall spot in the 2023 NHL Entry Draft. He's playing in BC right now, and he's got 50 points in 30 gosh darn games played. Not to mention the fact that he had 10 points in 7 games at the World Juniors as an 18-year-old player. He's eligible to return next year for Team USA. His combination of playmaking and his offensive vision, plus his great hands, has made him such a valued player for the Boston College Eagles in the NCAA that it's very rare to see a guy go out there in his freshman season and dominate in the way that Perreault has. For the New York Rangers, they have themselves probably some sort of a power play merchant to be if he's able to really take those offensive skills to the next level. But for now, I mean, in the NCAA, there's no telling how far this ceiling is going to go for Gabe Perreault. Moving over onto the sixth best prospect in the NHL, you have yourselves Calum Ritchie of the Oshawa Generals, drafted by the Colorado Avalanche. Now, this is a name that I am a little bit surprised to see, not gonna lie. He was taken by the Colorado Avalanche in the 2023 draft, 27th overall, but he has had such a good draft plus one season with 60 points in 38 games played. He's just one of the smartest centers that is available on this list. Just a guy who knows what the right play is, and his hockey sense in all three zones is very strong. He's got a pretty underrated puck retrieval ability, which I think if you're projecting long-term qualities into the NHL, this is why he's listed in the 6th overall spot and is also ranked as a AA prospect. But he is just outside of the top 5. Now, if you break into those top numbers, let's talk about that 5th best prospect in the NHL. Craig Button labels him as Matvei Michkov out of Sochi in the KHL. This is the Philadelphia Flyers' prized Russian prospect. And no surprise either here. He's been very good. He's got 41 points in 47 games played. He was just underneath Kirill Kaprizov for that U20 scoring record, but with the games played, with the injuries, with the games that he missed, and with the SKA St. Petersburg drama, you could very well say that Michkov's season was more impressive and maybe even better than what Kirill Kaprizov did. And we all know that Kaprizov is now like one of the top players in the NHL, so if that kind of tells you anything about where Michkov is going to go, just try to keep your seatbelt strapped on so you don't fly out of the hype train. But either way, Michkov is ranked here as the number 5 overall prospect. And then we break into the top 4 because 4th overall you have yourselves out of the Washington Capitals drafted system, Ryan Leonard, playing for Boston College in the NCAA. Now, Leonard had a stellar World Junior. He also had himself a stellar Boston College stint with 45 points in 31 games played. This guy is such a good power forward, and he's got the skill to back it up too. He's almost like a combination of Ovechkin and Oshie. If you wanted to talk about Washington Capitals terms, like talk about the power forward and the sniping, talk about the playmaking and the finesse, this is a pretty good combination of skills here, and it's a very unique one at that, which is why he was taken in the 8th overall spot in the 2023 draft to begin with. Ryan Leonard, of course, had himself such a great international and NCAA stint now, but next year, I think, will be a really big coming out party for him, assuming he doesn't sign and go over to Washington. But he is ranked number 4 on this top prospects list. If you go over to number 3, it is a teammate of his at BC, San Jose Sharks draft pick Will Smith. That is, keep my wife's name at your gosh darn mouth, Will Smith, who's gone out there with 51 points in 31 games played. My goodness. The thing is with Smith and Leonard, you could very well say that these guys have more of a play-driving style to their game rather than Gabe Perreault, who is ranked there at number 7 on the list. But for now, I mean, Will Smith has just been the engine that keeps the bus rolling. His offensive vision, his playmaking is so elite. He's been so dominant, and there's no real telling how far Will Smith is going to go alongside of these other two NCAA Boston College Eagles guys in Leonard and Perreault. But none of these guys are number 2. That honor belongs to Alexander Nikishin for SKA St. Petersburg in the KHL. 22-year-old Carolina prospect taken by the Canes in the 3rd round of the 2020 NHL Draft. Nikishin is a big dude, 6'4", left-handed defenseman in Russia who has 56 gosh darn points in 65 games played. Oh my god, that's a defenseman who produced that amount of points in the KHL. That is incredible. Now, look, we don't know how well everything is going to translate to the NHL, but for now, this on-ice profile, whew, boy, that's hot. But with the gameplay coming to an end, we have to go over to the number 1 spot, because the 1st overall prospect is yet another Boston College NCAA player, Cutter Gauthier of the Anaheim Ducks, formerly a Philadelphia Flyer, currently a Duck. He was really good at the World Juniors, and this season he's got 48 points in 31 games with BC. Gauthier probably could have played in the NHL this season. He just really didn't like Philadelphia. We'll see if he comes over next year in Anaheim. But for now, this is the list of top 10 prospects. Cutter Gauthier, Alexander Nikishin, Will Smith, Leonard, Matvei, Michkov, Calum, Ritchie, Gabe, Perreault, Axel, Sandin-Pellikka, Tom Willander, and Jonathan Lekkerimaki. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this list. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.